Good morning. The November the 2nd, 2016 meeting of the Board of Estimates is now called to order. In the interest of promoting the order and efficiencies of these hearings, persons who are disruptive to the hearing will be asked to leave the hearing room immediately. Meetings of the Board of Estimates are open to the public for the duration of the meeting. The hearing room must be vacated at the conclusion of the meeting. Failure to comply may result in the charge of trespassing. Madam Deputy Controller, are there any corrections, additions, or deferrals on the agenda?
Good morning. For today's agenda, I have one correction to announce. That's for page 6, item number 6. Above it currently reads DHCD-combination. Please delete DHCD and submit Department of Law. The Department of Law is the submitting agency for that item. The board received a protest for page 53 from ShotSpotter Inc., doing business as SST Inc., and that item will move to the non-routine agenda. In addition, the board received a protest from Ms. Kim Trueheart for all items on the agenda. The board did review her protest, however, it will not be heard today. I have one item that is being deferred, and it appears on pages 89 to 96 as a description of the agenda, and that's for the revised administrative manual policies AM 501-1, 501-2, 501-2-1, 501-3, 501-10, 501-10-1, 501-11, 501-12, 501-14, 501-5, 505-1-1, I apologize, and 506-1. Those actual policies will appear on pages 97 to 135. So the items that are being deferred for 1 week are pages 89 to 96 and 97 to 135 for 1 week. In addition, I'd like to announce the abstentions that have been provided thus far. The Honorable Mayor Rawlins Blake will abstain on page 138, item 1. The Honorable President Young will abstain on page 137 and on page 136 and 137. I apologize. The Honorable Comptroller Pratt will abstain on pages 21 to 22, item number 4. The items that are on the non-routine agenda are page 53 and page 57. Mr. President, members of the board, those are the changes to the agenda today. The protest received, the deferral, as well as the items that will be abstained on by board members. Thank you.
Thank you. I would direct the board members' attention to the memorandum from my office dated October 31st, 2016, identifying matters that identify matters to be considered as routine agenda items together with any correction and additions that have been noted by the Deputy Controller. I will entertain a motion to approve all of the items contained on the routine agenda.
I move the approval of the items on the routine agenda.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The motion carried. The routine agenda has been adopted. The first item on the non-routine agenda can be found on page 53. The board will hear arguments as to whether the protesting party is a responsive bidder. Will the parties come forward?
Tim Cross, City Purchasing Agent. This is the opening of prices for solicitation number B504665, gunshot location and detection system. We are requesting that the board open the prices of Safety Dynamics, but not open the prices of ShotSpotter, because ShotSpotter was found to be non-responsive by the law department.
Okay.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Your name?
Yes. My name is Jack Pontius. I'm the director of the Northeast region for SST ShotSpotter, and SST ShotSpotter has authorized me to represent them today before the Board of Estimates. May I continue?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. So SST submitted a response to solicitation number B50004665, and the response was rejected as it was considered non-responsive pursuant to the submission instructions. SST reviewed the response submitted by Safety Dynamics Incorporated and identified several areas in which the Safety Dynamics Incorporated
Excuse me, Mr.
was
Pontius.
non-responsive.
Mr. Pontius, your protest today is on
Tech.
why ShotSpotter is responsive, and then the board will rule on that. If the board finds that your protest was responsive, then we can take up any other issues you have with any other bidder. But the first step for you today is to tell us why your bid was responsive, why
Okay.
we should consider your bid.
Sure. Well, we were
ShotSpotter's
yeah,
bid.
we were deemed non-responsive for the introduction of our service level agreement, which is our standard terms and conditions, which we put into every proposal in every city that we do business in, and we've done business in over 90 cities across the country. So this service level agreement is our standard terms and conditions, which provide for our service level guarantees. And this is a very important document. It does not supersede the contract of the city at all. So we never interpret it that way, and we didn't want the city to interpret it that way. So it would have probably have been an easy clarification if the purchasing department had come to us and said, look, we have the service level agreement as part of the proposal. You didn't take exception to that. Can you please clarify why you included that into the RFP response? And we would have said, look, this is something that we negotiate with every city upon contract award. We would certainly want to do that with Baltimore. And, the fact that we didn't take exception to it was why they deemed us non-responsive.
Mr. Cross, was the same, is this argument valid?
No, it is not, in our opinion.
Do you want the law department maybe should
Laura
address?
Simon from the City Law Department. I reviewed ShotSpotter's bid and
Speak into the
recommended.
mic, yeah.
Well, the same information was given to them that was given to the other company, correct?
The same.
Information. Solicitation.
It's the same solicitation.
So what was different from that company information that's different from theirs?
To address the way that we structure the solicitations, which I believe is what your question is going to, when we go out with a solicitation, we include the city's general terms and conditions. And we tell all bidders that if they don't agree with any of those general terms and conditions, they need to come to us before the solicitation opens and ask for permission to have any of those waived. And if they do not receive that, then they can't be waived. In this case, ShotSpotter did not ask for the waiver of any of those general terms and conditions. They clearly stated that everything they had in this service level agreement overrode the city's general terms and conditions. And that is completely unacceptable and non-responsive.
Madam
And-
Controller?
Can the law department put on record why the service level agreement was the issue?
Yes, and it wasn't just a service level agreement by
Okay.
itself. So the solicitation provides the bidders with instructions about how to submit deviations. Some deviations are permitted. And ShotSpotter, as Mr. Cross said, did not follow those instructions by submitting them beforehand, getting permission of the city purchasing agent. And the general terms and conditions also show what will happen if you submit a bid that has deviations that is non-responsive. And ShotSpotter submitted several deviations to the city's terms and conditions. One of them is to the city's warranty that was requested in the RFP. The second one is to ownership of data, and this is an important provision here that is a material deviation where the city requested that all data created or collected from a third party on behalf of the project by the vendor as part of the contract performance become the property of BPD. Data provided to the vendor by the BPD will remain the property of BPD. The vendor may not release or make use of such data without the written consent of BPD. And ShotSpotter has taken a deviation
And
to
BPD being Baltimore Police
Police
Department.
Department.
Yes,
Just
has taken
clarify.
a deviation to this, essentially saying that they reserve the right to copy, publish, display, adapt. They have an ownership right in the data. So this is directly contrary to our ownership provision. Then they also have specifically stated they have attached a flex service agreement, and in it they say when they attach it, they say the attached ShotSpotter flex service agreement is incorporated herein by reference and constitutes an integral part of this proposal. unless it's specifically so stated above. Should there be any question of precedence between the exhibit and this proposal, then the exhibit, a single consolidated document, shall be superior to the proposal itself. And then when you evaluate the flex service agreement, there are a number of terms that are contrary to the city's general terms and conditions. So we recommended that this be found non-responsive.
May I comment? Yes. In terms of when we are saying that the agreement supersedes and takes precedent over the proposal, our intent was not that it takes precedent over the city's contract terms and the city's proposal. It's our proposal, our technical proposal only. These contract terms are always negotiated upon contract award in our previous experience across the country. So none of this agreement terms and conditions are set in stone because they always get negotiated upon contract award.
Although it does say that this is incorporated here and by reference in an integral part of the proposal.
It's an integral part, but doesn't take precedent over the city's contract terms and conditions. It never would.
Mr. Pontius, let me ask you a question. Did you follow the procedures in the RFP for submitting exceptions to the city's terms and conditions?
Now, yes, we did not put the agreement in the place that the city purchasing department wanted and said, and we should have said, I guess, that we take exception to the fact that we could not incorporate our terms and conditions and put that up front saying these are terms and conditions that we would like to have negotiated upon contract award. So if that's the intent of the purchasing department, then sure, then that's maybe something that we should have done. But again, going back to my earlier statement, that I think would have been an easy clarification saying, what is your intent with adding these service terms and conditions? And we would have easily clarified that with a quick cover letter.
Tim Kress, City Purchasing Agent. These are the standards by which we evaluate every proposal and bid that we receive. ShotSpotters was not evaluated any differently by purchasing or law than we would have evaluated any other proposal, which would have been found non-responsive in this way. As a matter of fact, ShotSpotters was almost a textbook case of non-responsiveness in the way that this was submitted.
Mr. Kress or Ms. Simon, my question that I asked the protester was, did he follow the proposal's steps for making exceptions?
They did not.
And how so?
We have a question and answer tab in the electronic procurement system CityBuy, in which vendors can ask questions about whether or not they can waive certain terms and conditions. We never received any request to waive terms and conditions like that. And this was a very long document, by the way, that we're referring to. And the proposal, the main body of the proposal referenced it. And then in looking back at this long document, it completely overrode all the city's terms and conditions, which typically go out with every solicitation. So the way that the city does this is we have our general terms and conditions. They sit there in a separate document, and we say, we look forward to you agreeing with all of them unless you wish to try to take exception.
Do you have anything you want to add to that?
Laura Simon, Law Department. The general terms and conditions provide specifically in General Condition 12 how to submit changes or deviations to the specifications.
If you talk kind of fast, could
Sorry.
general conditions of what?
I'm sorry. This is the part 2 of the request for bids for the gunshot detection system. This is the general terms and conditions by the Bureau of
city.
Purchasing.
Okay.
And GC 12 and GC 16 provide how a bidder may submit proposed deviations to the Bureau of Purchases and the city purchasing agent, how those deviations may be considered and how they may be approved. Those directions were not followed in this circumstance, and pursuant to GC 13, which is in the instructions, this may be deemed a conditional, qualified, or non-responsive offer that may be recommended as non-responsive.
Can you mark that and so I can share it?
Absolutely. It's 12, 13, and 16.
sections.
Okay, you have anything else?
Yes, I would just submit that if it's the board's decision to agree with the decision by the purchasing department, that they also take a look at the safety dynamics response, because we would submit that we have a number of variances to the proposal where safety dynamics did not take exceptions as well, and that those variances weren't adequately addressed by the law department and the purchasing department in the way that they took exception to ours and disqualified us in the same way. So obviously, we weren't able to compete on a level playing field.
Kim Cross, I'd also like to quote from the solicitation: exceptions, modifications, alterations, and deviations do not insert or include any exception, modification, alteration, or deviation not approved in writing by the city purchasing agent per instructions elsewhere in this solicitation. Any approved exception, deviation, modification, or alteration shall be prominently flagged and easy to identify. Otherwise, the city shall assume that you are responsive and in full compliance with all terms, conditions, specifications, and requirements contained in this solicitation. So we make it absolutely clear that unless approved in writing by the city purchasing agent, no exceptions to the city's terms and conditions are acceptable.
Entertain the motion.
I would move that the protest be denied, and that the board approve the acceptance of the technical proposal as submitted by the Bureau of Purchases in page 53 of the agenda.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As set forth in the.
The second item on the non-routine agenda can be found on page 57, Department of Finance, performance audits of the Department of Housing and Community Development. Will the parties please come forward?
Good morning, Mr. President, Madam Mayor, honorable members of the board. I'm Henry Raymond, Director of Finance. I'm being joined by Commissioner Graziano from the Department of Housing and Community Development and his senior staff. In accordance with Administrative Manual Policy 404-5, Quadrennial Agency Audit Policy, the Department of Finance submits to the Board of Estimates the Department of Housing and Community Development's performance audit for fiscal year 2011, 12, 13, and 14. The Board of Estimates is requested to note the performance audit. The performance audit reviewed 5 areas: housing code enforcement, registration and licensing, blight elimination, housing rehabilitation loans, and building and zoning inspections and permits. The external audit firm, Hamilton LLC, made recommendations for each of these 5 areas. The department concurs with the findings and the recommendations and has made significant efforts to implement those findings and take the appropriate corrective actions. So at this point, we'll entertain any questions you may have.
No questions? I entertain a motion.
We just noted.
I mean, the audit has been noted. I'm sorry.
Yep, thank you very much.
It's very odd to see the both city there together. You know, I'm used to seeing.
Stronger together.
Yeah, I'm used to seeing.
Did you mention that?
I'm sorry, Hamilton LLC was the external audit firm assigned for the Department of Housing and Community Development.
Thank you.
All right, the audit has been noted.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. There have been no more business before this board. The meeting will recess until bid opening at 12 noon. Thank you.
Good afternoon. The Board of Ethics is now in session for the receiving and opening of bids. I have the following addenda to read. WC 1270, Water Infrastructure Rehabilitation, various locations. Please change the bid due date from November 2nd to November 9th, 2016. B50004600, various gloves. Please change the bid due date from November 2nd to November 9th, 2016.
Hearing no objection, so ordered.
Thank you. Yeah. Good, great, thanks. All right. TR 17002, reconstruction of footways citywide. A bid bond is required if the amount is over $100,000. Santos Construction Company, Inc., with a bid bond. $925,525. Oh, wait a minute, is this here? Is this on the back? Oh, that's for that one. That's about their prices, the state of their prices. Look at this. Okay, good, look and see. Oh, wait a minute, let me see. Nope. That's we can make sure whose bid is this. And make sure some of these are loose here, so. That's JP. Making sure that was not detached from this one. That's monumental. That Emmanuel Louise. Look one more time. That's strange. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's probably just their company seal, though. It looks like. See, that's their company seal. Sometimes they seal their name. Oh, wait a minute. I know the price will be high, but let me just make sure. Maybe. That's it. It's more than 100. It's more than 100, so maybe they thought it was less. Maybe 9. Maybe that's what. I'll look one more time. If not, we'll refer to law. maybe. Sorry for the delay. All right. Thank you. J Villa Construction Inc. with a bid bond. $979,691. Manuel Louise Construction Company, Inc., with a bid bond. $1,063,625.
Refer these bids to the Department of Transportation for tabulation and report.
WC 1353, AMI/R, urgent need metering infrastructure repair and replacement, various locations, up to 2-inch water service. A bid bond is required if the amount is over $100,000. Monumental Paving and Excavating, Inc., with a bid bond. $4,154,959.30. Metra Industries, with a bid bond. Go back there and look and see. Okay, I see it too. Great. Okay. Great. Okay. Thank you. Metro Industries Inc. with a bid bond. $3,581,995. R.E. Harrington Plumbing and Heating Company, Inc. with a bid bond. $3,469,840. Civil Construction LLC with a bid bond. $4,442,420. Spiniello Companies with a bid bond. $4,583,300.
Refer these bids to the Department of Public Works for tabulation and report. Thanks.
B50004770. Lawn and landscape equipment parts and service. A bid bond is not required. Oh, here it is. This is bid price. See, use the following page for bid prices. B20. Everything's no bid. Okay. Here. They only have These are items, so we're just doing item bid. This is an item bid, so prices will not be read. Right, thank you. Thank you so much. Turf Equipment and Supply Company, Inc. Thank you. Port City Equipment Company. Gambrel's Equipment.
Refer these bids to the Bureau of Purchases for tabulation and report.
Okay. B50004665 Gunshot Detection and Location System. This is a price opening. It seems to be. Here you are. It's all public access. Yeah, here's the name, okay. Names are Safety Dynamics, Inc. $369,600.
Refer this bid to the Bureau of Purchases for tabulation and report.
There being no further business, we are adjourned. Thank you.